Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my Cerebralites. It's me, the Cerebral Diva, back with another story time. And we're going to title this story time, No Means No. Yeah, that's going to be the title of this story time. So, a few weeks ago, right, you guys, I went on a date with this guy. Really attractive guy. Intelligent, articulate, accomplished, physically fit, pretty much all the things that I look for. Check. Doesn't smoke. He's a social drinker. I don't drink at all. No wine, no beer, no coolers. I've never had alcohol in my life, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm not a drinker, but I can, and I can deal with people who drink. And even though, I don't even smoke marijuana, I've never tried marijuana, but I've dated guys who have. It's kind of hard not to date a guy who doesn't smoke marijuana or doesn't drink, at least socially, in this day and age. So I've learned to make some concessions in that area. So anyhow, the guy really, in terms of credentials, in terms of socialization, we were pretty even keeled. And I'm like, okay, that's great. So we go on a date, we sit down, we talk, we have conversations flowing. He's not, the biggest gentleman, so to speak. Like, he's not necessarily the kind of guy who's going to come to the side of your car door and open the door for you and all that sort of stuff. So he's not traditionally chivalrous in that way, but I'm okay with that. I can open my door for myself, so I don't really get too bent out of shape. I mean, it's definitely nice and it's definitely brownie points when a guy does it for me, but it's not necessarily something that would disqualify me from dating a guy either. So he didn't open the car door for me. He did open the door to the restaurant, though. So we go out to dinner. We're having dinner, and like I said, the conversation's going. He's having wine. I think I had lemonade and some sort of pasta. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. So we have dinner. After dinner, in a great conversation, he wants to continue by going for a drive around the city and going for a little walk. And I'm like, okay, I'm down for that. So we go for a walk and we go for a drive. And then he's like, do you want to come back to my house for a little bit? Now, I'm like, oh Lord, I really don't want to go to this man's house, because I know that he probably thinks that, he's about to seal the deal. And I just know that I was not in the mood for that by any stretch of the imagination. I just met this guy. But against my better judgment, I agreed to go back to his place. So we get to his place. Really nice place. It was actually a place that I had looked at. And for whatever reason, I wound up not renting from there. But it's a really nice sort of upscale apartment complex. And or they call them luxury apartment homes in this day and age. So we go to his place, we're there, we're chilling, he turns on the TV, and, he has some sort of hacked Amazon Fire Stick with all these different movie channels and stuff on there. So we're talking about that, and I'm telling him how I'm going to steal his Fire Stick, playfully. Just sort of this playful banter. And then he lays down on the sofa next to me. So we're in the living room watching TV, and then he lays down, and so we're laying in the spooning position. He's behind me, and then his hands just start to roam all over my body, and so I move the hand because he's touching places that I feel are inappropriate. So I keep moving his hand, and so finally, I just said to him, look, I'm not trying to go there with you. And he's like, it's okay. I just, I find you so attractive, blah, 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 blah. You know how guys try to lull you into or compliment their way to getting your panties off. So I wasn't going for the okie doke. So anyway, I wound up falling asleep over there Wake up the following morning. Following morning, he has a business trip, and then I have business to tend to of my own. So he drops me off at home. We say our goodbyes, and then he leaves and he goes on his business trip. Now, he's been out of town on business for about maybe 2.5 weeks. Now, in the 2.5 weeks that he's been gone, he's been pretty consistent about communicating with me. Good morning, beautiful. Hey, how's your day? Miss you, thinking of you, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, I appreciate that because, and just to digress for just a second, that's why I think sometimes it's so important that you don't sleep with a man on the first date, because when you sleep with a man on the first date, all of the mystery is erased. All of the desire, the anticipation is gone instantaneously. And so I think that, you know, and granted, in some cases, sleeping with a guy on the first date could work, but I definitely think at the very least, it should take about 3 or 4 dates before panties come off. That's just me personally. I personally think it should take longer, but as a minimum, as a standard, 3 or 4 dates before you jump into bed with a guy, because 3 or 4 dates is going to give you some time to assess exactly who this person is. You know, you're going to see if he calls you back after he doesn't get sex. You're going to see if he's consistent in terms of communication. You're really going to, you know, you're really going to get sort of I don't want to say a comprehensive overview of who he is, but you're going to get more insight than you're going to get if you just jump into bed with him. And you're not going to feel slighted. You're not going to feel cheated by having slept with someone who doesn't communicate with you after they've gotten what they want. So I definitely think that you should try to wait at least 3 to 4 dates before you jump into bed with these men. I tell my friends, I know this sounds crazy, but look, we're all sexual beings, or not all of us. Some of us are asexual, but the majority of us are sexual beings. So if you're one of those sort of hypersexual people, look, grab yourself a bullet, grab yourself a dildo, grab yourself whatever you need, whatever you use to get off. Get yourself some sort of personal pleasure apparatus, and take care of yourself before you go on the date, so that way your judgment is not clouded by hormones. You know what I mean? So just do that. Treat yourself to that before you go on a date. I definitely think that's probably a huge dating tip. Before you go on a date, masturbate. There it is. That's the line. Before you date, masturbate. Because I just definitely think that it helps you operate within certain parameters and helps you make better judgment calls. Because, you know, frankly, when you haven't been satisfied and you walk into a situation, you know, you might not make the best judgment call. So I definitely think it behooves you to take care of yourself in advance of a date. So moving on. So, you know, he's out of town. He's been calling, communicating. So yesterday he gets back in town and he says, you know, I want to see you tonight, beautiful. And I'm like, okay. You know, since he's been so good about communicating, I'm like, okay, I'll set some time aside and, you know, hang out with you for a little bit. And he's like, but, you know, I'm super tired. I'm just getting back from a business trip, so I don't really want to go out and do anything. Can we just hang out at my place? Now, I've already been in his place, and I already know how he behaves in that environment. But I'm thinking, okay, we've already set the tone. Oh, and before I go there, so while he was out of town, he was sending me messages, and in one of the exchanges, it got a little heated. You know, he started saying some things to me. I started saying some things back. You know, it's sort of C-grade sexting, you know, nothing super raunchy, nothing super dirty, but, you know, just, it got a little heated because, frankly, I do find him attractive. I'm just not ready to have sex with him. So, he toward the end of that sexting exchange, he asked me if I had some nude pictures. And, you know, I don't take nude pictures. And it's just not my thing. And I know that, you know, as a society, we're a little bit more open, a little bit more tolerant and accepting, of nudity. But I just haven't graduated to that point. You know, I'm old school. And for me, you keep things covered up. You leave something to the imagination. Now, I wear body conscious clothing, you know, because I work out, so I'm okay with celebrating the shape of my body, but I'm just not showing you my entire body. So even when I went to his house, I go to his house, and I'm wearing some sort of, I wouldn't necessarily say Daisy Dukes because they weren't Daisy Dukes, but they were this short, short cut off denim shorts, and I had on some gladiator sandals, and a tank. So it's just a pretty casual look, but it's still a very body conscious look. And so I go there because we're not going anywhere. And this is something I would wear on a regular basis. So it wasn't like I was trying to turn up the volume because I was going to his house. This is just sort of casual attire. So I get there, and then he comes down to let me in, and he's looking good. He's casual too. He has on like basketball shorts, and he has on this t-shirt. But his physique is just so pronounced that it's like his chest is eating this t-shirt. Like his this t-shirt didn't stand a chance against this man's biceps and triceps. Like his body is crazy. So I go over, he opens the door, we go upstairs, and we start watching TV. Now I'm there for probably 3 or 4 minutes, and 3 or 4 minutes into it, he starts groping. And, I keep politely moving his hand. And why is it that moving a man's hand one time is not enough? Excuse me. Why is that? Like, if you reach for my breast and I move your hand away from my breast, that means I don't want your hand on my breast. That does not mean I'm going to try to grab your breast 3 seconds later. Like, I don't understand that. Like, stop grabbing my breast. Stop grabbing my butt. Stop, trying to touch in between my legs. I moved your hand from all of those places. That says to me, or I would think that would communicate to you, she does not want to be touched there. But for whatever reason, men just seem to be able to sort of they have some sort of blocker that, I don't know. I just can't explain how or why they do that. Like, if I move your hand, it means I don't want to be touched there. I shouldn't have to keep moving your hand 20 times. So about the 21st time that he touched me in a place that I moved his hand from, I said to myself, okay, look, you need to go. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go home. And he's like, why? I miss you. I just, I miss you so much. I just want to spend some time with you. No, that's not what you want to do. You clearly had an agenda when I came over here. And the agenda was not about spending time. The agenda is about, getting me to take my clothes off. And I'm just not in the mood for that. Even though I find him attractive, the fact that he's just so adamant about, being physical with me is turning me completely off. Just chill. Like, here's my thing, right? Let's say I'm at his house and we're on the sofa, we're watching TV and we're cuddling, watching a movie, and he kisses me and I kiss him back. And then, we start watching the movie a little bit more, and then he kisses me again and I kiss him back. And then suddenly, just in the moment, that attraction just, those forces come together in that moment in a very intrinsic, in a very organic way that is not just so clumsy, because that's what his sexual advances felt very clumsy to me. Like, there's no thought, there's no finesse, there's no je ne sais quoi. It's just like, I'm just gonna grab a titty. There's nothing subtle or genteel about his approach towards it, and frankly, just sort of the grotesqueness of the way that he communicates intimately was just turning me off, because it was unpolished. It was unpolished, and so I just wasn't really into it. So he keeps going. And so finally I just said, you know what, I'm about to leave. And he's like, why, pleading with me not to leave. But at this point, there was nothing he could say other than, like, I just won the lottery for $10 million. And if you stay, I'm going to give you half. That would get me to stay. So, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go home. So I get up, he walks me downstairs, to my car. And then he gives me a hug and he gives me a kiss on the forehead and he says, okay, well, get home safely, beautiful. And I'm in my car and I'm driving. And you know how you get by yourself. And I'm one of those people who drives with no music. So the only thing that I have playing are my thoughts. So I'm driving and I'm just thinking about everything that just happened. And I'm asking myself, like, what was that? What just happened? So in the midst of it, I'm just like, I don't think I ever want to see this guy again. And that's pretty much my MO. Like, when I get turned off, I'm pretty good about drawing a line in the sand in terms of who I want to involve in my life and who I don't want to involve in my life. So I sent him a text message. I said, look, if every time I see you, it's going to be about you trying to have sex with me, then I don't think we need to see each other anymore. And he's like, oh, no, beautiful. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to spend time with you. Well, asking to eat me out isn't spending time with me. Like, I didn't even tell you guys. Like, he was asking me to do some very specific things to me. And I'm like, no. And like, then he goes a step further. He's like, well, if you're not going to let me eat you out, why don't you just go down on me for a second? No, that's what she won't be doing. So, he was saying all of these things to me, in the time that I was at his place. And, so I decided that I just didn't want to see him anymore when I was leaving. And he's, super apologetic. It wasn't like that. He's like, every time I see you, I get so turned on, blah, 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 blah. Like, maybe a lesser woman would sort of fall for that, but for me personally, I just feel like guys say stuff like that because they're trying to compliment their way out of a corner, and I don't need an ego booster. If you were really that attracted to me, if you really valued me in a way that was conducive to you keeping me around, then you would hear what I'm communicating to you, not just verbally, but through nonverbal communications in terms of moving my hands and telling you to stop doing certain things. So he apologized. He told me he was sorry. Oh, by the way, when I was texting, I was not texting while driving. I did pull over to get gas on the way back home. So that's when I was texting him. So, I don't know. Do you think I should see him again? Do you think I should not see him again? He's been super apologetic. Or do you think I should see him just not at his house anymore? Because apparently, being alone in confined spaces is definitely his kryptonite. So I don't know. I really have at this point decided to not see him. But I'm curious to know what you guys think, what your dating experiences are. So that's pretty much it. If I decide to see him again, I will definitely do an update on this story time. But as of now, it's pretty much a done deal. The final nail is in that coffin. I want to know what you think. I want to know how you think I should handle it. So please leave your comments below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. What else? Oh, remember to follow me across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I am Cerebral Diva on all platforms. Also, remember to live better, love harder, think smarter, and also remember, pleasure yourself before you go on a date. It's me, the Cerebral Diva, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.